Greetings, everyone, and welcome to the Dracovin Empire. Are you ready to walk through the universe, plane shift to Golarion once more? Because we're heading into the world of the Pathfinder role-playing game system. I, Lord Guide and Host Pathinder, flitting up my hand, ready to open up the gate, have us go to Golarion and visit this world and learn another ancestry. So remember, of course, to tip your guide as we travel through the multiverse, through the planes. Liking, subscribing, ringing the bell, of course, over on YouTube would be great for that. But let's travel to Golarion. We've arrived. Well, we're particularly heading to Sarkonis today. Why are we heading to Sarkonis? Well, there's a very new to knowledge of the surface ancestor that we're going to be learning about. The Surki. Well, if it's so new, where would I maybe want to look into more about it? How to play one? Well, other than going to Archives of Nephis, which I do always recommend, Howled Wild, the newer book, has them introducing them for the first time. Hey, they're new. Things are going on. They're here. You know, they're ready to adventure alongside you, or be the adventurer you'll play. So, who are the Surki? Since they're so new, so interesting, well, they are insectile beings from the Darklands. They actually have these special generational digs that they use to travel through areas, and have recently emerged on the surface. They are metamorphic, and basically they connect with the latent magic in the world around them, which can alter their forms. They actually subside on this. We'll talk about it more. But this allows them to basically refine their own evolutionary developments in the magic, in the way they are to develop into a newer version of themselves. So yeah, insectile creatures live on magic, originally from the Darklands, now on the surface. It's not that they haven't been seen before, but there is these long pauses of historical sightings, and it's due to their long life cycle and their special life cycle. They can have children like we normally would, but children, when I mean that is, they have a child, it gets born, it goes through its life cycle, that kind of thing. But occasionally they have generational digs, where basically they'll have some kind of instinct which will have a bunch of their larval, their eggs, wait around for a period of time and then hatch together and migrate great distances. Once the world wound was healed, it initiated one such dig, probably the largest of theirs in history, and it brought so many of them up to the caverns and passages of Sarkonis Scar that now they're emerging from the surface for the first time in many years. Basically, before now, they were just another rare species in an ancestry in the Darklands. Now they're on the surface, and we have small settlements of them in basically secluded corners of Sarkonis. They're looking into what's going on, wildlife, magic, inhabitants of the area. This is a new place for them. And yes, they don't eat food, though. That's another important part about it. They filter feed. They filter feed magic from air, soil, plants, stone, any material. They refine this magic through nodes in their bodies, and of course their life cycle, they go through 3 phases. These nodes basically fuel them, from their larval to adult to their evolved stage. And they have to basically stockpile this magic to allow these adaptations to her, these metaphorical systems. So it's similar to insects that will eat a lot, and when they've built up enough calories, go to the next stage of their life. From a caterpillar to a cocoon to a butterfly. Except each of these stages for them is fueled by magic they have to build up. And the metamorphosis they go through can help them evolve in various ways to the situations. They're still Surki, but they will have unique characterizations that define them in the environment they're in. So, individualistically, they could be dramatically different. And it can also tell of what kind of adventures and situations they've been through in life. If you see a fellow Surki with certain adaptations, it tells you how they've gone through their life, what's happened to them, what changes, what things you've encountered that has defined them, and defined the changes they've gone through. Let's talk about how they physically live. It depends on their stage of life. If we talk about the early stage, they're larval, and this is their first stage, which they spend between 10 to 100 years of their lives dormant in their eggs. So we're not even born yet. Egg is laid, and it's 10 to 100 years developing into a larva. They're waiting to emerge to have enough latent magic, and environmental conditions are just right. This can, of course, lead to the time periods where we get these group births, hence why we had the generational dig, leading to the Sarconis emergence. And the larval Surki are about 2 feet long. They're kind of grub-like, luminescent nodes to their flesh, which are their magical nodes. Their heads are chitinous, round, eyeless. They basically primarily use an ability to smell magic. 4 of their 6 legs are small. The front set are large, digging claws that they can use to tunnel through earth. They also can communicate with other of their generational dig as they travel from their nest home. Because again, they do tend to be born in clumps. It's just sometimes those clumps can be massive and can cause the clumps to grow. You know, the difference between waiting 10 years and 100 years. Once they do have enough magic, traveling around gathering it, they cocoon for several days and become an adult. The adults are what you see most of the time on the surface. They are a surface dweller. Almost more like a cicada, where you really don't see the lower versions of them until they, emerge. Anyway, when they're adults, they're bipedal. They stand on multi-jointed limbs. They have 2 arms that end in 3-fingered claws that can be used for digging or producing special sounds, precision ones, for their own personal language. They do have 2 feathery antennae and 2 long sensory barbels that basically sit on either side of their mandibles. They are very round in shape, with several rusty brown and orange chitinous plates along their back, and so when they have clothing and fashion, it tends to incorporate their roundness. And they do like things like belts that they can put under their various plates that can kind of carry everything together. At this point in time, the magic nodes are no longer as visible as they were in their larva, and are distributed throughout their body. Places like the abdomen, shoulders, limbs, and they continuing to accumulate that magic. And they will actually create some adaptations as they age. It's heralded by intricate luminescent patterns of chitin surrounding the point of the change. So they can still evolve during this aging process, but it is a little bit more slower than the massive evolutions between them. And they are just using some of their intricate magic that's in their bodies to allow those changes. When you get to that final stage, the evolved form, they enter a grand metamorphosis. The adult crystallists and changes over a single evening. It's less dramatic, but the shift between larval and adulthood, of course. But the evolved basically brings its profound magical abilities of the lifetime of magical absorption and refinement to a head. They metamorphose into the nodes now metamorphose into complex organs capable of projecting tangible magic to a variety of ends. They become natural magic users. And the digging apparatus, from digging apparatus may be made of pure force to glowing wings that defy gravity. It's an expression of the individuality and adaptations they've been building throughout their entire lives. The basically perfect form of these adaptations they've built over their life. The perfect form of themselves, of the area they've chose to inhabit, the role they wish to fulfill, that they've evolved to match. It is that basically the end goal of all of those adaptations. Now we look into their society. They place a great importance on individuality and self-expression. Each one has their own way of doing things. Innovation is very prized between their people. They're in touch with their environment. They have no distinction between plant and animal. Again, they're not consuming any of them, so it doesn't matter. And they recognize that every being has a part of the environment. This has led them to create settlements that leave very low impact on environments, weaving skills around plants and fungi to coax them to grow onto shelters and walls. Wood and other plant-based resources are seldom harvested in a manner considered traditional to most Golarion societies. They're portioned out in strategically grown sections, or harvested precisely enough not to kill the plant if possible. So basically, they make plans to have, environmental impact as less as possible to the plants they will use. So their relationships are often focused on complementing adaptations. They are polyamorous, and will have close bonds with numerous individuals. The reason for this is also because they are a single-sex species. They basically understand gender and orientation as expected by other ancestries, but they just don't find the ideas of choosing not to bond someone based on anatomy or personal description absurd. If you have complementary, just, bond together. So they instead kind of pursue those with personalities, talents, adaptations that augment their own in unexpected ways, such as using woven silks to reinforce a tunnel dug through loose rock. Nonetheless, attraction in their society is a complicated idea as any other, and bonded Surki will often express their feelings towards a loved one with a personal description that expresses something they value within the relationship. They might introduce their partner as, "who speaks quietly and makes my soil richer." Yeah. An adult Surki is capable of reproducing, and they are the only one, and they do through so parthenogenesis, meaning that, as a single-sex organism, they reproduce with themselves. They have the egg. Anyone can lay an egg when they choose, but it expends a lot of their magic that they've been storing. So few Surki lay more than one egg every few years because it drains you too much. These eggs are kept in protected areas in the settlement and wait for the next dig. When the eggs are ready to hatch, they do in mass, and the larvae can coordinate their departure, drawn to magic like a beacon, tunneling through the earth and stone to find new place to settle. Familial life varies differently for them. Eggs laid outside of a generation dig are cared for and tended to by the Surki parent until the grub emerges. New village grubs are typically left on their own devices, allowed to venture outside or leave the community altogether. Often, village grubs find their first homes in the soil of the community farms, where they feed on natural magic within the soil and plant life. These can double as schools for grubs, as the adult and evolved Surkis who tend to the gardens regularly converse with the grubs, thumping and scraping out stories of their younger lives and lessons they've learned to others. Surki grubs born early or those whose nodes don't function as well are often bonded with ostos, small amorphous symbiotes that augment the grub's ability to absorb nutrients from magic. So, they do have some religious beliefs, sort of. Basically, with the connection to the environment, they worship very natural ideals. With their own ancient traditions, they identify each creature has a unique spirit, a keystone species occupying a distinct role in an ecosystem. Their tradition dictates that Surki and other cultures aren't necessarily part of the spirit cycle, though with time and care and practice, they can be accepted into it and blessed with the environment's keystone species. Those that have come into Sarkoris have found worship of some of the surface deities. Gozera and, I'm going to butcher this one, Dracovin have grown very quickly, and Surki that dedicate themselves to deity are more likely to choose when representing whatever environment they are, the natural world as a whole. Change, travel are also very important. But even so, when they do dedicate themselves to a deity, the fact that life has to flow its natural course is very important to them. They do believe that things like death, violence, and war have their places and purposes. So they do, as much as they aren't going out of their way to go after people, they understand that there are things in natural orders in the world around you, and go with them. So. And being that they are natural explorers, we have been finding them beginning to venture out from Sarkoris, from their former Darkland homes, into the wilds a lot more. And so it is more possible, though, again, they are very new to the surface in basically the last half a decade. We are seeing them more and more come out, join Golarion as a whole as a new, interesting group as part of it. But that's the Surki. That's very little how we know them so far. Again, we only have one major book that they have been introduced in, and it's given us a very good view of them. They are a very interesting species as they have these very interesting thought pattern, way of life, and yeah, they don't eat or drink. They filter feed magic. You know, actually I don't know if they drink or not. It just says they filter feed food. They don't consume food conventionally. So they might still need water. I'm going to assume they probably still need, like, water or something. But what they get sustenance from is magic. And you can't say for sure on that one. As a magical being that consumes magic, it's very weird, very interesting, and very unique and individualistic. Again, the Surki are very interesting beings because they are so adaptable and connected with the magic they develop so much. Effectively, a lot of the forms and things they take are depending on what they are absorbing and can change their form a lot. The evolved form being the ultimate expression of this, that they would eventually get down the lane of some kind of evolution. It's very interesting. And a very unique creature that's been fun to see added to the lair. I hope you've enjoyed joining me, learning more. But that'll be it for today. I'm going to get going. I hope you enjoyed this very much and would love to see more of my Pathfinder or other tabletop-related content. If you're going to support me, remember to do all the various things like subscribing to the bell. If you want to see my schedule for when I'm either putting this stuff up on YouTube or going live to either talk about it, record it, do other stuff over on Twitch, I have a schedule. I put it up on my Discord, my X/Twitter, my Blue Sky, and over on my YouTube page in the information conversation section. All those will tell you when things are being uploaded, when I'm going live. The going live stuff, generally speaking, is a little bit more in flux, and you can keep attention to my various social medias for various changes, what's going on, and I'm going to change it. I'm trying still to fix my schedule to make it more perfect. It's just been pretty busy, so make it a little bit more exact for those start times. Do remember to check out my social media, though, because, again, other than the updates and stuff like that and life going on, say, cat pictures and comments about my various kitties, stuff on kitties are good. I love sharing that. That's always the big thing to talk about. Yeah, I think that's all about it that I can shout out for today. Thank you for joining me. I hope you enjoyed today. I'm going to get going. I might record a little bit more with YouTube, with Twitch. I might just hang out with them a little bit more. But regardless, I hope you enjoyed. And you're going to be willing to join me next time, whether I talk about Pathfinder, discussing ancestry, or location, something else, another TTRPG game, whatever it is that we dive into and talk about. You'll join me to learn all about some interesting lore and mechanics and things about the world of tabletop. And until that next time, I bid you all a deep and wonderful farewell.